Hi everyone. Some of you will remember that I did a review on the June 1988 edition of Shortwave Magazine. It was one of two that I still had, managed to dig them out from the shed. So this is the 1998 edition, which I bought at the same time, I'm pretty sure, as I bought a Sony ICF 7600G. And I bought this magazine at the same time. The previous edition I bought when I bought the Sanjin ATS 803A, which, as you know, I've repaired and I'm using again. So we've basically jumped 10 years. There's not much difference really in terms of the articles in this magazine, but I do have to say that there is more information. If you would think that radio was a bigger deal in 1998 than it was in 1988. The magazine, there's more pages to the magazine, there's more adverts, there's a sort of greater sort of breadth of information pertaining to radio, and that was kind of counterintuitive for me, because I assumed that, 10 years after the end of the Cold War, well, 9 years after, that it would potentially be showing signs of dying out, but actually in this magazine it doesn't. So it's in full colour now, whereas the previous edition from 10 years ago was in black and white. And so the first page, big spread from Nevada on scanners, Bearcat, Yupateru, AOR, Elinco. Not really much interest to me. And then an advertisement from Maplin, company obviously still around, company that I still use for buying components for various projects, building the adapter for the Wellbrook to use with the portables, and various antenna stuff. This one's interesting. So you buy the catalogue, but they're giving away a free CD-ROM with a data sheet, free McAfee antivirus software, free 30-day Demon Internet trial. Demon Internet, wow, that takes me back. So showing its age, 18 years old. Editorial comments. So a couple of interesting things on here. They conducted a survey apparently at the time, and they found that 60% of readers owned their own computer, and which made them wonder about whether it would be worth compiling a cover mount CD. And for the 40% of users that don't have computers, sound samples for referring to the CD-ROM. So that was quite interesting. An article from a guy who was replacing his 16-year-old NRD 525 with a 545, and giving his views on what he thought of that radio. Quite a few different articles here. And it goes into the next page, some amateur ham awards information, an article on the new at the time Icom transceiver 706 Mark II G, some information on rallies. As you can see, it's all in colour. Oh, there's one thing here actually. I didn't realise Czechoslovakia actually split in '93, and so 5 years after the split, they announced that they were working with WRN to start broadcasting Radio Slovakia International. So that started in 1998, and there's an article here with web link and what have you, which was quite interesting. More articles. These are on products mostly, cases and kits. Maplin were selling a Lego robot. What that's got to do with radio, I don't really know. Some license exempt frequency allocations. More information on some rallies. So quite interesting. Right, a big double page spread from Low Electronics, NRD 545, £1,595. Wow, that's a lot of money. That's probably, I don't know what that is today, but it's got to be 3K. £529 for the NRD 345G. Low AP150. Was I think a speaker amplifier, can be used with any radio. £99. When I first saw that, I thought it was a receiver. So £99 for the low audio processor, amplifier and speaker. Some more scanners. Right, an advert from Ask Electronics. I've actually been to Ask Electronics on Tottenham Court Road many years ago, and they've got some Sony prices here. So the Sony ICF SW1000T recommended retail price £449, 360 they're asking. The SW77 fantastic radio, the kind of successor to the 2001D, RRP was £430. Wow. And they want £350. The SW55, which is my go-to radio, RRP was £300. They want £250. And then the brilliant little SW100E, £220 RRP, going for £149. So it's nice to see these adverts. And they're also selling the ICF SW7600G, a radio that I bought when I bought this magazine, actually. RRP £199.95. They were asking £120. Pretty sure that I can't remember, paid about £160 for mine, but there you go. Sanjin, obviously this is after the 803A. The 909, £160 from an RRP of £190. The 818, £135. Some Garmin GPS systems, which had obviously started entering the market before this time. And then some more scanners, so quite interesting. So there you go. So SW77 is a radio that I've never owned. My friend Tom has one, and it would have cost £430 new. You do see them on eBay. I can't remember what they go for. I think they still go for like a couple of £100, maybe more, in good condition. But I know that they have a very good reputation. LM&S, long, medium and short. This is basically the same as the previous edition from 10 years prior. Long wave reception reports, and there's a table. What have we got? Nador Medi 171 kilohertz. Munich 207. Kallenborg 243. So quite a few reception reports from people writing in. Obviously, long wave DXing still popular back then. Local radio DX chart, which is the same as the previous edition from 10 years before. And a medium wave chart, quite extensive. Anything? I can't see any transatlantic DX. This all looks European, North African, but yeah. And then a tropical band chart. So again, same as the earlier edition, starting at 3.2 megahertz and going up to 5.1, and a number of stations that are no longer around. TWR Shona 2240, Air Bhopal were on 3315 back in the day, Air Jaipur 3345, Radio Budapest 3975, Vatican, Airport Blair 4.76, Radio Gabon Libreville 4.777, RTM Kuala Lumpur 4.85. What else we got? Accra 4.915. Quito Ecuador 4.92. Remember them. Uganda Kampala 4.975. Radio Nepal Kathmandu, wow, 5.005. So yeah, a lot of signals that are no longer around back in the day, 18 years ago. Right, another double page spread from Waters and Stanton, who I don't remember. The brilliant AR 7030, £900. The ICOM ICR 8500, £1,549. The NRD 545, 1,299. Yaesu FRG 100, still popular today. Lowest UK price, but you've got a phone to find out what it is. Okay, an article, Bandscan Australia, so but also seems to incorporate New Zealand. RNZI were 50 years old on the 25th of September 1998, and they did a special broadcast to celebrate the fact. Some information on Radio Australia. An advert to passport to World Band Radio. Wow, no, I guess that's an advert for the fully revised for 1999. Listen as history unfolds, unparalleled news and perspective. Yeah, nice to see that. A publication, I think, that is still missed. Over 700,000 copies sold worldwide. So I'm assuming that's for the 1998 or 1999 edition. If it's 700,000 sold worldwide in however many years they've been going, then maybe that's why it no longer exists today. But yeah, nice to see that. And then an article on satellite TV with some history, which isn't that interesting. Right, Nevada. Big double page spread again. NRD 345, 699. ICOM R8500, £1,548. Yaesu FRG 100, okay, £400. So there you go. And the Roberts R861 portable, 169.95. Seems like quite a lot of money for a Roberts, but I mean, I think I sort of forget that they do make shortwave radios. They did back then, and I've got an analog one now, which is kind of okay. Some used equipment here. Drake R8A, £800. Wow, that was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money today. FRG 7000, £169. Sanjin ATS 803A shortwave receiver, £99, which is odd because I think that's what mine cost new. But there you go, interesting nonetheless. Some more on satellite TV. How do you start? Buy a dish, I imagine, yes. It's funny that satellite TV today is second nature. Nearly everybody's got it. But in 1998, it felt necessary to put an article to explain how it all works and how you receive it. An advertisement from AOR scanners, and then the AR 7030 communications receiver. So who I know that's got one of these? Mateus has got one of these. Sender Jaeger. It's a fantastic radio. £800. Sort of very simple front panel, but yeah, I know from other people and from reviews that I've read that it's an amazing radio. So yeah, a full page advertisement for that radio. 5 stars in the Passport to World Band Radio 1999 for the 3rd year in succession. In fact, I think I actually have that. I've seen that review because I think that review appears in a later edition of World Band Radio. But yeah, what a great radio. Okay, satellite DXing digitally. Hayden Communications AR5000. I know that was a pretty good radio. £1,150. Again, the ICOM still there. AR3000A, that had a really good reputation at the time. £600, quite a lot of money. AR7030, £879. So saved £20 from the previous advert. And then the FRG 100, yeah, still 400. ICOM PCR 1000, actually looks like, it's a very small picture, but it looks like it's actually got a spectrum on the front panel, which is, I'm finding incredible. But I guess that, I think the PCR, yeah, okay, so that's the, I think that's the software to control it. But this does look like it's got spectrum, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Sony SW100E, £150 from an RRP of 220. That's weird because it's a great radio. Maybe it didn't sell very well. I don't know. SW 55E, £235. Sanjin ATS 818.99. Roberts R861. It's all the same radios being repeated. £169. Interesting. Okay, some more GPS kit and Garmin scanner kit. More satellite TV DXing. SMC, worlds apart from the competition, right? So world band receivers, Sanjin 909 and the 818, the Garmin GPS. It's all the same products. And then there's Tele Satellite International, Global Satellite Information Magazine. Well, I don't remember that for sure. Interesting. More on satellite TV, DXing, sport feed with a small dish. Martin Lynch and Sons. So these are the good guys where I bought my ELAD. Here we are, 18 years ago, advertising in Shortwave Magazine. Same radios, AR 5000, Icon, ICR 8500, JRC, NRD 545, Kenwood, TS 570. Double page spread. Don't know what that would have cost an advertisement like this back in the day. But yeah, quite nice. I think that's the end of the satellite TV special. Right, so an advertisement from Roberts. R881, £80. Don't remember that radio. The R861, I remember that radio, £200. And then the RC828, which I think has the cassette deck, so you can actually record. Yeah, £220. So yeah, Roberts, there you go. Back in the day, you know, very much into shortwave portables. Advertisement for Dressler, active antennas back then. And then the optoelectronics opto tracker. So this is a scanning device, receiver that you can operate with a computer. So computer controlled radios go back 20 years or more. In fact, I think they go back further than that. I think there was a reference to it in the 1988 edition. Multicom 2000, so receivers again, and so JRC, AOR, Roberts 861, Drake SW2, £460. Wow, it's interesting that in this edition there are far more kind of like desktop, tabletop receivers in these adverts than there are portables. I don't remember if that was the case in the 1988 edition, but interesting nonetheless. Pricing. So yeah, the AR 7030, £679. So basically the same price as other adverts. Then an article on, I think this is an optional converter board for the NRD 545. Yeah, I think that pushes it up to what, 100, don't know how far above it takes it, above 30 megahertz. Okay, Starts at 30 megahertz and carries it right up to 2 gigahertz. Competition to win a Roberts R881 Worldbound Portable. And then an index for 1998. Star by regular columnists, competitions, book reviews. So a page on amateur bands. So an amateur band's kind of like news roundup, clubs, other letters, propagation forecasting, letters, single sideband utilities, separate article. I don't remember this in the 1988 edition. And then some information on propagation forecast, with charts for various geographical locations of the world and an explanation on how to read them by taking the geographical location and cross-referencing with the time, etc. Quite interesting. Military airband, roundup, airband, so I guess that's civil. So separate articles on those, and I don't remember that from the 1988 version. Oh, there you go. DX television. So it's really taken hold. Has its own sort of regular article. So apparently a TV signal from Belgium counts as DX. Dutch signal. I'm not sure how interesting that would be for how long. I know there are people that still do it, but yeah, it wasn't really any interest to me, I have to say. But right, another advert for Multicom accessories, DSP filters, active antennas, pre-selectors, all that stuff, and then used radios. Okay, so a low HF 225, great radio. Several to choose from, £250. Well, that's a bargain. Mind you, I think they still go for more than that today, 18 years later. Used AOR 7030, £525. Seems like a bargain. HF 150, £225. They probably go for something like that. I think some of these radios still go for kind of like the same money. I know it's less today because of inflation, but the numbers are still the same. Yeah, that's interesting. Sony 2001 D, £150. They've got another one for £180. A lot of money back in the day, considering. But at this point, that radio was 10 years old then. Some satellite information. So this is interesting here. For several years, this guy is asked by reporters whether he believed the climate was changing or not, and notes that they've already seen extremes of weather, but no more than average. But decoding images from satellites, and then comparing them, ice flows, etc., ice cover, is one way of kind of calibrating, the effects of global warming if it is actually occurring. It's interesting that I know that the whole issue of global warming has been around kind of since the 1970s, but it's even mentioned in this magazine from 20 years ago, and it was kind of like this is a precursor, a kind of an entry into this magazine, into this article. So it's interesting. So they've got the satellite frequencies for the NOAA 14, NOAA 12, 137.5 megahertz. I have tried to listen, actually, this reminds me, to the ISS, but using FM with the Yaesu, but never actually heard anything. An article, okay, so a regular article on scanning. And attention 123. This is an article about well, effectively numbers stations. It's interesting that in the 1988 edition there was no mention of numbers stations as far as I can remember. But 10 years later they're talking about X6, 6-tone station, and with a little bit of background. Operation dates back to at least the 1970s, and it's been unaffected by the ending of the Cold War. So this is about number stations. Here you go. Number stations follow rules of their own. The new schedule is shown above. So there's a schedule for Cherry Ripe, which was another number station. So that was interesting to see that. You know, so they're talking about number stations, you know, 9 years after the end of the Cold War, and we're still talking about them today. Some more advertisements. And then an advert for "At last you can see what you are hearing." So this is a software company that had developed some software to allow users to visualize the signals that are being received. It's being marketed towards pilots and ship communications, slow scan TV, Met station weather maps. Interesting. And then adjacent, there's an article on decoding, and there's a weather map that's been decoded by somebody, and looking at that that looks like Windows 95, I remember well. And then an advertisement for Moonraker. Now I remember Moonraker, and very briefly I had a CB radio when I was a sort of young teenager, and it was a Fidelity 1000, and I seem to remember having a Moonraker antenna for it, which my father wasn't very happy about attaching to the side of the house, so it didn't last long. And adjacent to that, some maritime radio information. So these are articles that didn't appear in the earlier version. Maritime Beacons. Wow, I think these must all be on, or at least start on the long wave band, yeah, and then they go up to 400 kilohertz, 404 kilohertz. So this is all new stuff that wasn't in the earlier edition. Some more advertisements, and then their bookstore, and then trading post. So this is where people bought and sold equipment. HF 150. Some guy wants £225 for it. FRG 100. Okay, it's a filter, £50. Drake R8E, £375, and then an AR 3070, great radio, mint condition, £400. Wow, that would be a bargain. Advertisement for Practical Wireless, UK's best-selling independent amateur radio magazine, and then an advert on the inside back cover for the ICR2. Proves size isn't everything. Wide frequency. Okay, so this is from 0.5 to 1.3 gigahertz. Wow. They haven't changed much in the design over the years, these kind of handheld scanners. And then finally on the back page, second-hand receiver Bonanza. This is from Low again. Looking for an interesting one. AR 7030, prices from £500. Kenwood R2000, that's a nice radio. Prices from £250. HF 225 is a great radio, prices from £200. It's funny looking back at this now, this kind of numbers that you're talking about for buying this type of radio. If you go on eBay, you can buy an R2000 for around about that sort of money, and you can buy an HF 225. You probably pay more than 200 actually. It's interesting that if you ignore inflation and the intervening 18 years, the numbers are pretty similar. So that was Shortwave Magazine 1998, and I hope it was interesting. I don't think I've got any more. Well, actually, I think I have got another one, but that predates the 1988 edition by I don't know how many years. But if I ever find it, I'll do a review. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching.